From the outside, his life looked flawless. Not just stable. Not just comfortable. Flawless. The kind of life people secretly compare their own to when they scroll social media late at night. A loving family. A respected career. A neat two-story house on a quiet street where nothing bad ever seemed to happen. White walls. Clean driveway. Fresh paint every summer. Even the lawn looked like it had been trimmed with a ruler. If you drove past his house, you'd slow down for a second and think, yeah, that's the dream life. Neighbors admired him. Colleagues trusted him. Kids waved at him. Old people blessed him. He wasn't just liked. He was safe. The kind of man you'd trust with your house keys. The kind of man you'd ask to watch your kids. The kind of man nobody would ever suspect of anything. And maybe that's exactly why no one saw it coming. Every morning, his routine was identical. 6 a.m. lights on. 6:10 coffee brewing. 6:30 newspaper picked up. 7 o'clock leaving for work, pressed shirt, polished shoes, same confident walk. Same smile. Same wave to the neighbor across the street. It almost felt robotic. Too consistent. Too perfect. Because real people are messy. They oversleep. They forget things. They argue. But him? Never. Not once. It was like he was playing a role. Like every day he stepped outside and said, okay, time to perform. At work, he was the golden employee. Always early. Always prepared. If there was a problem, he fixed it. If there was pressure, he handled it calmly. Managers loved him. He's reliable, they'd say. The most dependable guy we have. He got access to things others didn't. Financial files. Sensitive documents. Private accounts. Because trust opens doors. And nobody questioned trusting him. Why would they? He had the smile. The charm. The confidence. Everything about him screamed respectable. Weekends were even more perfect. Barbecues in the backyard. Soft music playing. Kids laughing. Family photos. Holiday cards with matching outfits. You know those pictures people stick on their fridge? Yeah, those. But if you looked closely, something felt slightly off. The smiles looked posed. Too still. Too forced. Like everyone was trying very hard to look happy. At the time, no one noticed. Later, everyone noticed. At night, the house changed. Lights stayed on late. Voices got lower. Arguments happened in whispers. Not loud enough for neighbors, but loud enough to feel heavy. Sometimes a door would shut harder than necessary. Sometimes the silence lasted hours. But every morning, everything reset. Smile back on. Performance resumed. Like nothing happened. Like the night didn't exist. And maybe that's when the cracks first started forming. Small ones. Invisible. But dangerous. Because perfection isn't natural. And anything unnatural eventually breaks. And then, something boring happened. Something small. Something nobody expected to matter. Paperwork. A financial record. A simple document that didn't add up. Just numbers. Nothing dramatic. Nothing scary. Just numbers that were slightly wrong. Everyone assumed it was a mistake. Because mistakes are normal. Crime isn't. So people choose the easier explanation. But then another mismatch appeared. And another. Tiny amounts. Small transfers. Money moving where it shouldn't. Like someone hoped nobody would notice. And honestly, most people wouldn't have. But one person did. And that's when the thread was pulled. And once you pull a thread, the whole sweater starts unraveling.
And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive into hidden truths, make sure you subscribe to The Silent Motive. That way, you'll never miss the next story where perfection hides something darker.
Suspicion doesn't arrive loudly. It creeps in quietly. Like a feeling you can't explain. Once that first mistake was noticed, people started paying attention. And suddenly, small things felt bigger. A coworker remembered something strange. A phone call. Late evening. His voice wasn't friendly. It wasn't calm. It was cold. Sharp. Almost threatening. Like he wasn't talking to someone. He was ordering them. And when he realized someone was nearby, he switched instantly. Smile. Joke. Laugh. Normal again. Too fast. Nobody changes that quickly. Actors do. Not real people. Neighbors started remembering things too. How he asked too many questions. How much did your renovation cost? You still paying loans? Salary good these days? At the time it felt like small talk. Later, it felt like data collection. Like he wasn't socializing. He was calculating. Studying weaknesses. Learning who had money. Who didn't. Who could be useful. Then investigators checked finances properly. And that's when the illusion shattered. Credit cards everywhere. Loans under different names. Debt stacked on debt. The perfect house? Mortgaged twice. The car? Unpaid lease. Investments? Fake. Everything people admired was borrowed. Nothing belonged to him. Not really. He wasn't successful. He was pretending to be successful. And pretending is expensive. Which meant he needed money. Constantly. Desperately. Family members later confessed something heartbreaking. They said arguing with him felt impossible. Every conversation twisted. If you blamed him, he blamed you harder. If you questioned him, you felt stupid. Like you misunderstood. Like you imagined things. Slow manipulation. Slow control. By the end, people stopped fighting. Not because they trusted him, but because they were tired. Because it was easier to stay quiet. And that's how control works. Not loud. Not violent. Just exhausting. Detectives said something chilling. He didn't build relationships. He built leverage. Every favor he did? An investment. Every smile? A strategy. Every kindness? A future weapon. People weren't friends. They were tools. And that realization scared everyone. Because suddenly every memory felt fake. The more they dug, the worse it got. Forged signatures. Fake documents. Hidden accounts. Money moved in circles to avoid detection. It wasn't sloppy. It was smart. Careful. Planned. Almost perfect. Almost. Because lies always leave footprints. Always. And one tiny mistake finally exposed everything. A timestamp. A document created before it was signed. Small detail. Huge consequence. The mask started slipping. And once masks slip, they never fit the same again. If this story has you thinking twice about perfect lives, hit that subscribe button. We've got more true crime stories coming that will make you question everything you thought you knew. The morning police arrived. Felt completely normal. Birds chirping. Kids heading to school. Sunlight on the street. Ordinary. Boring. Until two police cars stopped outside his house. Neighbors peeked through curtains. Phones slowly came out. Something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too tense. He opened the door calmly. Still smiling. Still polite. Good morning, officers. Like this was just another day. Like nothing was about to end. Even then, the mask stayed on. Because maybe he didn't know how to live without it anymore. Handcuffs clicked. That metallic sound echoed louder than anything. And just like that, the perfect life ended. No shouting. No running. Just quiet collapse. Like a building finally giving up after years of hidden cracks. Days later, the house looked different. Lawn messy. Mail piling up. Curtains closed. It's crazy how fast perfection disappears. Without the performance. Reality shows immediately. Like makeup washed off after a long day. Friends stopped calling. Colleagues avoided talking about him. The same community that once admired him pretended they never knew him. Because accepting the truth hurts. It forces you to admit something scary. We are terrible at judging people. We trust smiles too easily. We believe appearances too quickly. We think perfection means goodness. But sometimes, perfection is camouflage. All it took was one small detail, one boring document, one overlooked number, and that tiny thread unraveled everything. A career, a family, a reputation, a life. Gone. Not because of a dramatic confession, not because of a witness, but because of numbers. Because truth hides in the smallest places. So next time you see the perfect life, the spotless house, the always smiling neighbor, the man who seems too good to be true, remember something. Too good to be true usually is. Because behind every perfect mask, and sometimes, that motive is darker than you could ever imagine. And that's the lesson. Behind every mask lies a motive.
If you want more cinematic true crime stories told with honesty and suspense, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps the silent motive alive, and together we'll keep uncovering the truths hiding in plain sight.